Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 9 of the anime series Zankyo no Terror, or Terror in Resonance. And we're picking up right where we left off, with effectively 12 going after Lisa to save her life, led to this sort of, carnival park or what have you on this big Ferris wheel is where this all goes down. And the one thing that was interesting to me about this episode, the last couple of them have been very, on the edge of your seat with the suspense and the tension building and mounting. And I feel like that was somewhat diminished in this episode for all the revelations, calling back on the Athena plan as Shibazaki and his partner go and talk to one of the chief, people that was involved with that plan. We find out in detail, in great detail, essentially what that was all amounting to. And it's much as you could speculate from the clues that have been given thus far in the series, that these children, these orphans, were taken and tested upon. The question was, how were they tested upon? And we got that very much answered in this episode. Essentially kind of, akin to eugenics, where we're trying to create the perfect soldier. In this estimation, we're trying to put into children, we find out that there's a limitation. Ages 5 and under, are the only ones susceptible to this suggestion. But essentially, we're trying to primp up their mind, make them more intelligent and everything like that. Bring on the savant syndrome, as it is known. And it's very intriguing that because what is the reason behind it is still the question that remains. But what's very intriguing is Shibazaki finds out this all relates back to the politician whose death resulted in his basically being pushed aside, cast aside to a point, reducing his rank effectively for his asking too many questions and being willing to go beyond those borders of sort of perceived societal lines of the people you do not question and stuff like that, the politicians, the people in power. Otherwise, you pay the price. Well, that's what happened to Shibazaki, and it's very interesting that he's already been on the cusp of this ongoing thing. We also find out that among all the children that were being tested upon, there are, for all intents and purposes, only 3 known survivors. That is, of course, 5 in all her glory. She was taken under the care and concern of the United States, which is something you could pretty much garner by everything that's happened thus far. But it's also interesting that, basically this guy who Shibazaki's talking to wishes and hopes that the 2 survivors, the kids who ran away and got away, 9 and 12, are alive out there somewhere, even if their lives are about to be cut short, because he believes anyone, sort of pressing this matter has very limited days left to them and such like that. Cover-ups and so on and so forth. Perhaps that's very much what led to the death of that politician himself that Shibazaki was questioning and was after, was dogging the foothills of. Perhaps his death was to silence him, that kind of thing. So, again, it just adds that much more depth and weight to the overall situation, the scenario. Now, where I say the diminished sort of feeling of suspense and intrigue came to fruition for me was that whole aspect of 12 trying to undo the bombs that were strapped to Lisa on that Ferris wheel. It was getting very much down to the wire, but their conversation, I think, the way that whole scene, played out, them basically apologizing to each other and almost confessing a love for each other and everything like that, perchance, or at least in 12's case, he feels responsible having brought Lisa into this whole scenario to begin with. He feels to blame for what's happening to her, what is about to happen to both of them. They're both going to get blown sky high. And of course, there is a level of tension there, but I don't feel like it was as palpable as all the previous episodes because the focus wasn't on that tension. It was more so on these 2 people coming to some sort of realization, in their final moments, what they believe to be their final moments. We're seeing these people as real as they can be with each other. And you even see Lisa get to the point where she's resigned to the fact, this is where I'm going to die. Get out of here, 12. She still, at this point, for what 12 has done for her life, coming back and saving her at one point, keeping her as a part of this team and everything like that. She feels like she matters probably for the first time in her life. And so she wants to return that favor. She wants to thank 12 by giving him his life back, that kind of thing, sacrificing herself because the moments are dwindling away. And of course, what intervenes is psychotic 5 with this, you tell me where as we find out, bombshell, no pun intended, it was not plutonium they stole, but they're looking for an atom bomb that was created silently, covertly by this government, by its politicians and armed forces, whatever it is. That is what was actually, in effect, stolen. The question now remains, did 9 and 12 know that's what they stole, or did they think they were only stealing plutonium? Obviously, for anyone who is aware of the situation, they believe it to be plutonium that was stolen. So it's a big question mark left over in the wake of this just crazy revelation that, in fact, they stole an atom bomb in the making. Who knew about this? Who approved this? How far and wide do the ramifications go? How many people are involved in all this kind of stuff? If the police force is being led to believe it's plutonium, and yet forces outside of that country, the American investigators that FIBE has been working with, how do they know about it? And all this kind of stuff. It's just absolutely insane. It would make a lot of sense to believe that maybe 9 was aware of this, and maybe that's why he's doing this, because we're still, yet again, unclear as to what the motivation is behind 9 and 12's actions. And we're seeing at this point that 9 is very much the one who wants to keep it going, because as 5 pointed out to 12, he's already kind of betrayed 9, choosing Lisa over him to come break away from the team and come save her life and all of that kind of stuff. And add to that, basically 12 at that last second to save both of their lives because he loves her, because he doesn't want to die. He's found something very much to live for. That, level of cynicism has been diminished in him that made him want to take part in this plan that he and 9 concocted to begin with. Here we have the betrayal hitting home, with 12 going ahead and telling 5 where they can find the plutonium in a school locker, and this sends the entire police force out to go and pick it up. Of course, that is where 9 has gone, and it seems as though he might have made off with it. I'm not entirely sure if he was, carrying it on his person or not, or if that was a deliberate misdirection and it wasn't actually in that locker. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with all of that. By the time we end this episode, we just see that 9 is on the run. 12 and Lisa are up in that Ferris wheel, probably about to be arrested imminently and such like that. And at the very end, of course, whatever is going on with 5, we've seen her talking to herself. We've seen her acting strangely. She's seemingly been responding to headache, pain, or something like that. One begs the question, is whatever was done to her in childhood to make her have these savant qualities, maybe she's paying a price for it. Maybe, she is losing herself, or her brain is breaking down, or, she's suffering migraines as a result of the tweaking to her system, whatever it is. We see that she basically collapses and goes unconscious. So it's absolutely pitched still by the end of the episode. Even though we didn't have such palpable tension as we had in previous episodes, there was a lot more going on character-wise, character arc-wise, story arc-wise, revelations-wise in this episode, and it still leaves you pitched to just be dying to see where it goes from here. So yeah, I cannot wait to see how we end this series in the next couple of episodes. And yeah, otherwise that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.